Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I have 4 great recipes for you for single serving meals. All right, if you're new here, hello, I'm Claire. Welcome, come on in, make yourselves comfortable. And if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back and for all of your continued support. You may already know that I am a stay-at-home mom, which means that I often am cooking just for myself. Sometimes I eat what the kids eat for lunch, but sometimes I just don't want pigs in a blanket or a peanut butter sandwich. You know what I mean? We should be able to have delicious meals as well. So for whatever reason that you are finding yourself in need of making one serving of something, I thought this would be helpful. I did do a video like this in the past. I will leave down below with some great recipes. If you're like me and you just want to mix it up a little bit and you're tired of having the same things all the time, or you hate doing batch cooking and eating the same thing for like 5 days in a row, I hate that, then this video is for you, and keep watching. My first recipe for you guys is for a little personal pizza, and I'm making this dough from scratch because it seriously is so easy. You need 2/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour. You also need some water, you'll need some baking powder, and a little bit of oil. I will leave all of the proportions of everything and the measurements down below so you don't have to try to sift through this video to get them. So if you want to recreate this. I made a goal this year not to buy any frozen pizzas, so I really like that I can just make a fresh dough really easily, and using that baking powder instead of yeast means it's ready to use right away. I'm going to bake this on my pizza stone, but you could use, a cookie tray or whatever you got. And I'm not trying real hard to make it perfectly circular. I'm not even using a rolling pin. I for sure like to use the least amount of dishes for my lunch so that I'm not dealing with that. And of course I'm going to poke it with a fork just so that it bakes nice and even. I don't get any giant bubbles. And I'm actually going to blind bake this, which means I'm going to bake it before I put any of the toppings on, just for 5 minutes. I believe my oven was something like 400 degrees, but I will leave that down below. And when it comes to toppings, I'm choosing mushrooms because they're literally my favorite thing to add to anything. You'll see. You'll see in the next recipes. And I'm also using some red onions. As far as sauce, I like to use pasta sauce. We actually used this in a recipe the night before, so this was sitting in my fridge. Perfect way to use anything left over. But you could also use one of those cheap 25-cent cans of tomato sauce. That's also good. I'm using about 1/3 of a cup of mozzarella cheese, but you could really change this up to fit, your own sort of tastes. I'm also throwing some basil and some garlic powder on there just for a little bit of extra flavor. And I also think a great way to get some leftovers from the day before, if you've got some leftover chicken or meat or whatever you've got from previous meals, to throw them on your pizza. That's really a great creative way to eat your leftovers. I just threw it in for 7 more minutes and it was done. Like a freshly baked pizza. You cannot tell me that this is any harder than putting a frozen pizza in the oven, and it tastes so much better. And I just did that with some ranch dressing and some carrot sticks. My next recipe is a little falafel sandwich. Guys, I love falafel, and it's actually super easy to make at home. I am just going to start with 1/2 cup of canned chickpeas. So you don't have to cook them. You just take them right from the can. This nice big chunk of onion, and I'm not measuring any of this. I'm putting a dash of cumin. Also, I've got salt, pepper, coriander, and garlic powder. Now, one of the main ingredients that you often find in falafel is parsley, and I did not have any, so I didn't put it in there. It doesn't have to be perfect to be delicious. If I had some, I would have put it in, I promise, but I didn't. But that did not stop me from making this delicious lunch. Now, to help combine this and really get it to stay together, I'm going to start with a tablespoon of flour. After I'm done sort of blending it all together, I'm going to add some more flour. But if you wanted to make this gluten-free, you could definitely swap that flour with chickpea flour. I've done that before too, and it works really great. But I don't mind a few tablespoons of flour, so I just use that. And I'm actually using my immersion blender to blend it all together, but you definitely don't need to have one in order to do this. You could use a food processor. You could even use like a regular blender if that's what you had. You don't need any special equipment. And of course, I'm looking at my mixture now and noting that it's definitely not like pasty enough for it to stick together. And so I'm adding another tablespoon of flour. I ended up all together adding about 3 tablespoons in order to get it to the right consistency. You want it to be able to, stick together as a patty. You don't want it to break up. And this recipe is the perfect amount. It makes 2 little patties, and you could really eat these in a lot of ways. You could eat them just as they are. You could swap them on a bun for a burger and make a falafel burger out of them. You could throw some hummus on there, tahini. This flavor is really versatile and it goes well with a lot of stuff. I chose to cook mine in some oil, sort of like more of the traditional falafel style, but you could bake those patties in the oven or even your air fryer if you wanted to. I decided to make mine into a wrap today, and oh my god, they were so good, you guys. I just added some cherry tomatoes. I also chopped up a cucumber and threw it in there for a little bit of a cool crunch. But if I had tahini, I would have thrown some tahini on there too. It would have been really good. But what I did have is this great balsamic glaze, and that was so delicious. These flavors were so amazing together. I will definitely be doing the balsamic glaze again with falafel. It was so good and so super filling. You have every food group represented there, that wrap. My next recipe for you guys, I want to call it sort of like a galette, but you'll see. I'm using Crescent Rolls here. I'm using half of a can, so 4 Crescent Rolls. You could save the other ones for another recipe. You could throw them in your freezer. You could make pigs in a blanket out of them for your kids if you are eating alongside them today, but you're only going to need half of your Crescent Rolls here. And I'm just like smushing them all together. And then I am creating like a lip and making it into a circle. This is great for those of us who don't have like 1,000 specialty pans in all different sizes. If you have like a mini tart pan or a mini pie pan, use it. But I don't. So I thought this is great because making like a quiche or something that's, really deep, it takes an hour in the oven. I wanted something just my size that wouldn't take that long, and this worked out amazing. So I'm just going to scramble up 2 eggs. I'm going to add just a bit of milk, salt, and pepper. And the filling, surprise, surprise, mushrooms again, but throw whatever you want in there, whatever you're in the mood for. And I'm also using just a little bit of cheese. I would say maybe like 2 tablespoons of cheddar cheese. So this is very quiche-like, but much faster. I'm just going to throw that on into my little sort of pie shell that I've made out of Crescent Rolls. And I'm going to pop that into a 375 degree oven. And it's only going to take 20 minutes. And if you had like pigs in a blanket around there, they cook at about the same rate. So you and your kids' lunch would be ready at the same time. And I did get just a little bit of overflow on that egg in one spot. I didn't quite pinch it perfectly, but it's okay. It kept its shape really well. It didn't go all over the place. And this was so delicious, you guys. I think Crescent Rolls are one of my favorite things to cook with. They just make everything taste like buttery and delicious. I loved it. All right, my last one for you guys is a breakfast sandwich because you can have breakfast all the time. I don't know why people don't eat breakfast other times of day. Breakfast food is always good. So I'm going to start with some turkey bacon. I have 3 strips of it, but I have cut them each in half. I find that when you do that, it gets crispy on all the sides much faster, and I just think it tastes better. If I'm the only one, I guess I understand. But if you do that too, leave me a comment. I'm also going to pop 2 frozen waffles in my toaster. If you want to get down on making your own waffles, totally do it. But I don't have time for that today, so I'm just using frozen ones. And I'm also just going to fry up an egg. I like my center to stay a little bit ooey gooey, even though it makes the sandwich a little bit messy to eat. I like it that way. and I'm just going to assemble a really easy sandwich. I think people so often overlook great breakfast food for lunch. So whether you're a waffle person or a biscuit person or whatever, try a breakfasty item. Because this was so delicious, you guys. I'm not even kidding. All right, you guys, those were my recipes. Which one was your favorite? Which one will you try? Do you have any great ideas for me? Leave all of your thoughts down below. I love to read them. And of course, come on back for more. I post 2 videos a week, every Friday and every Sunday. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.